Good morning. We're back. We're back for a Tuesday stream. Let's see. Housekeeping stuff. We need to pin a chat message. So we will say, not much going on here. Just working from home and chatting with you guys. If you are new here. Hello, Artwork Studios. How are you? I'm guessing it's late your time, huh? Alright, let's get to it. What is the timer? Oh, it's just a Pomodoro. It's just a Pomodoro timer. So it's like 25 minutes on, 5 off type of thing. Why Pomodoro? Just to keep myself honest, so that while I'm talking to you guys, I don't lose sight of the fact that I'm also trying to be sort of productive, semi-productive. That's all. That's the only reason. Also, I need to make this a little smaller so I can just like at a glance see the chat. Hey, what's up, Butterscotch? How are you? Life treating you well? Hello, Suhas. Good to see you again. Good to see you guys. Toad Sage. Good night, sir. See you, Toad Sage. Thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate you. LOLs, but Steven, when does work start? Well, work starts, like, are you asking me for real? When does work start? I mean, I'm lucky because where I work is pretty, I mean, they kind of treat you like an adult. Like, if you get your work done, that's what matters the most. But most days I usually start working about 8 o'clock. Most days. Just done with induction program with the university I got admitted to. Well, that's congratulations, man. I bet you're super excited. Do you know what you're going to study at university yet? Curious. I'm curious. Artwork studios, yep, like your job. Yeah, work normally starts. I mean, that's the thing is like I'm sure everybody kind of has a little bit different schedule day to day, but work for me typically starts 8 o'clock. Romans chapter 10 verse 9. I don't know that Bible verse. Um, oh, I probably shouldn't search it on the Pomodoro timer. Romans chapter 10 verse 9. Stuck. Steven, did you read my paragraph? I did read your paragraph, but I don't really understand a whole heck of a lot of what. I might need to put your paragraph into ChatGPT and have it summarize it for me. If you okay, so that Bible verse says, "If you declare with your mouth Jesus is the Lord and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved." Well, count me in. Count me in, James. a master's degree in computer science focused on AI and ML. Butterscotch, you are going to be in hot demand here in a bit. You know what I mean? Everybody wants an AI ML person. So Butterscotch, does that mean you already have your undergraduate degree? Do you already have a bachelor's? Or I'm not sure what the equivalent would be for non-US people. I hate studying, but I get good grades because I listen to the teacher. Yeah, I mean, I was never a big fan of school myself. Like, I was really, really happy once I wasn't a big fan of primary school. Like, once I got out of high school, college was a blast. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of like elementary, middle, high school. But the thing is, to kind of your point, it's like it's kind of hard not to do well in it if you like show up. You know what I mean? Like if you show up and you sit in class and you listen to the teacher, you sort of have to actively try to fail most classes, in my opinion. At least that was my experience. Butterscotch, yes. Oh, very cool. Well, man, that's awesome. You're gonna be everyone's gonna want to hire you when you're done with that thing. Is it a 2-year program? How long is the program? Let's see. Am I religious? I am religious. I am Christian. I grew up going to a Methodist church. We don't currently attend a church as the family, but I am a Christian. Suhas, I got an internship at BSNL, a big place. You can Google it. Well, congratulations, Suhas. Man, everyone's got great stuff going on here. We've got people starting master's degree, people getting internships. Let's go. That's awesome. Congratulations, Suhas. Oh, your dad works there. Even better, man. That's really cool. Yeah, the company I work for, not my dad, but my wife's dad actually worked at for a long time. He was like one of the first 4 or 5 employees. It's fun to work with family. I actually have 2 other family members that work at the company I work at now, which is kind of cool. It's cool to be able to work along. Assuming you get along with your family. If you don't get along with your family, then maybe it's not such a good thing. But for me, I think it's a plus. I would love to work with my kids someday. That would be very cool to be able to work with my kids. I'm probably low demand, like game dev and OS dev and web dev. Like that's not good. So maybe I'll. No, I don't think that game dev and operating system dev and web devs aren't in demand. I just know like obviously AI ML is like the hot ticket thing, right? So I think you're fine, man. You should definitely do the kind of development that you enjoy and that you like to do, right? That means you'll be good at it. If you do the type of development you enjoy, that means you'll do more of it, which means you'll get better at it. And the better at it you get, theoretically, the more likely someone is to hire you to pay you to do it. So in my opinion, I wouldn't chase the latest trends, in my opinion. But I mean, I think you could chase the trend and do fine. I think you also can just ignore the trends and do okay. I don't think you necessarily have to jump on any bandwagon. For 2 years, first year is focused on a lot of math and core computer science subjects, and the second year is focused on AI ML. That makes sense. That makes 100% sense. 100% sense the way they structured that because I know you guys know that I've been trying to kind of follow along in a book about building a large language model. And just from that little short stint into that world, I very quickly see that any discussion of AI or machine learning very quickly goes from like surface level to very like deep linear algebra very quickly. um, so that makes sense. Well, I'm very excited for you, Butterscotch. I hope you're excited for it. I hope you do well, and I can't wait to hear about everything you learn. That sounds like a fun project, Suhas. Local AI. Stux, I don't have anything great going on. Ofcom sent a big email about the OID system. I can summarize it for you. They basically said, fuck you. Well, maybe they just didn't quite understand it as well as you understand it, you know? But, I mean, don't be down on yourself. I mean, you don't want to, don't let other people's successes cause you to feel like a failure, right? So that's an important skill. It's important to be able to cheer and root for other people having success and not let that impact or the way you feel or think about yourself. So whatever's meant to be Stux will be. I think game dev is really closed field. Most of them end up becoming solo indie developers. Well, I think the thing with game development is it's just very concentrated, right? Like in terms of like if you want to have a career in that field, there's a small number of companies who actually produce AAA titles that are going to make lots of money, right? There's just it's just yeah, I would agree. It's not a closed field. I wouldn't say a closed field in the sense that you can't get in, but closed field in the sense that it's a pretty small it's a pretty small world, so to speak, professionally. Liam, you are such a nice person. I'm here for you. If there's anything you have, had a good day. I'm from Sweden. Hello, Liam. Thank you. I try to be a nice and kind person, both in the real world and on the internet. So hopefully that does come across sometimes. But appreciate you being here. And yeah, I would love to. I would love to visit Sweden someday. I always tell my wife that like I feel like the Norwegian companies or not companies, countries feel like home to me. Like I'd love to visit like the Netherlands, Sweden, Finland, like all of those kind of northern European countries. Definitely on my bucket list. Someone has to work. I mean, you joke. I mean, that's kind of the whole thing about like AI right now. Our work studios is like, yeah, like the long tail of tech is so long, right? Like you still have people who are COBOL developers, people who are Fortran developers. Like there's going to be such a long tail. Even if AI does really eat the world and take all of our jobs, that's going to happen on such a long curve, right? So yeah, there will always be need for people, at least in the for as long as it matters to us. At least I'm 32, which means I have probably another 30 years of work ahead of me. So yeah, there'll be people who need the skill set. Suash, you might take a look at NAN. I think NAN can be hosted locally, so you might take a look at it. It's a pretty cool tool. I also second what who said it. Network Chuck, yeah, what Stuck said. Network Chuck has a really cool video on NAN. Quick question: would you ignore a comment from a guy with a name like me? Well, I don't see an issue with your name, man. I can't really read it, but I don't see an issue with it. Hello, Farhan. Farhan, you're welcome to tell us anything. I can't always guarantee that I'm not gonna like ban you for your comment, but you're welcome to you're welcome to tell us if you'd like to tell us something. I'm asking other companies and countries like UK, EU, US, Google, Apple. Well, Stux, I don't understand your system that you described in Discord that well. But the question I would ask you is like, what problem are you trying to solve? And if you're trying to, if you feel like you have a solution and you're trying to go and find somebody with a problem that solution can help, that's probably a pretty uphill battle. 9 times out of 10, it's much better to be aware, to already know what the problem is, and come up with a solution to an existing problem. So I don't know how much traction you're going to gain by trying to go at it the other way. My microphone's kind of like in. I feel like I'm always looking around my microphone. To be honest, we shouldn't think AI as a replacement to us, but as an assistant to help us. I would agree with that. I still think Copilot is the best branding that anybody has come up with for AI. And I don't think AI is going to replace us. I just say that because, well, because that's the hot thing for people to say that are trying to raise billions of dollars, is they like to run around and say, oh no, AI is going to get rid of all white collar jobs. It kind of reminds me, so when I was growing up, like in the early aughts, especially when I was in school and stuff, there was really this like underpinning that like robotics and automation were going to replace the need for a lot of blue collar jobs. So there was this really big push for like all US children to like, you all must go to college, you all must like acquire kind of knowledge worker type of roles, because there's not going to be a need for you to go and work in a factory or do hands-on work. That's all going to be automated by some level of robotics. And that was totally overblown, because I can tell you, you can walk into any manufacturing plant in the US today and there's still a lot of humans doing a lot of manual or repetitive work that has yet to be automated. And I think AI is sort of the second incarnation of that, but now instead of it taking aim at blue collar work, it's taking aim at white collar work. But I would say 75% of the hype around AI is being driven by people who have a very big financial stake, liability, need for it to be successful. Hello, Riz. Brittany, that read my email, probably shouldn't work by Ofcom. She couldn't understand the simplest email. Well, to be fair, if that email was mostly you explaining your system, I didn't understand it that well either. But I think maybe I don't understand the system you're trying to build because I don't understand the problem that you're trying to solve very well. That's a real thing. So, yeah. Artworks used, but it doesn't have something humans have, and that's emotion. AI, you mean? Yeah, AI doesn't have emotion. I also would argue AI doesn't have real intellect at this point, at least large language models, right? I mean, these are word calculators. As much as people want to imbue additional, like as much as we want to what is it? Anthropomorphize. As much as we want to imbue these LLMs with human-like characteristics, they are not humans, right? They are calculating a probability distribution over a set of tokens, and then they are picking the most likely token. Um, obviously influenced by some temperature setting to cause that probability distribution to the outputted or calculated probability distribution to be different, but they're not humans. Suhas, I would love to watch that video if you want to link it in Discord. That's the best place to send me stuff. Is if you want me to look at things, just pop into Discord and I'll try to take a look at it. Stux, I explain the system like when explaining something to a toddler. So, but like Stux, do you have a relationship with this Ofcom company? Like, do they know you and you know them, or you just came up with an idea and like blind pitched them and expected them to be like, "Oh my gosh, you're a genius"? Because I think I get the feeling that you might have unrealistic expectations of these people. Honestly. I think AI will automate a lot of things, and we as humans can leverage that to be more creative and spend our time on solving real problems, or can spend time in innovating new things. Yeah, I think my challenge with AI, or I guess, and this is to say, like, I want to couch everything I'm talking about when it comes to AI. I'm talking about today, like the current technology that we have with LLMs doing generative AI. The challenge there is they aren't they aren't a universal solution to a lot of problems. There's a lot of things that people are trying to make LLMs do that I just don't think they're particularly well suited to do. I think LLMs are great for kind of two particular cases. I think one, they're great at like blank page problems. You don't know how to implement something, you want to see an example implementation. You need to draft an outline for a blog post. You need to, these things where you're sitting down, you need to create something, but you're starting from a blank slate. I think AI is very helpful there. The other thing I think LLMs are really helpful for is doing orchestration through natural language. So what I mean by that is they're very useful in chat-like interfaces for understanding what is being asked of them and then coordinating other systems to do some type of work, right? Which is sort of like the agentic. That's sort of what people are doing with these agentic workflows, where like they have the LLM take an action, the LLM gets a new input, then the LLM determines another thing to do. But largely, those agentic workflows are calling tools or code or function that do deterministic things. And all the LLM does is it says, oh, I'm going to pick this one based on the input and based on this thing's description, and I'm going to generate some input to that deterministic function. But at the end of the day, the LLM is really there to orchestrate a set of deterministic tools that somebody else wrote. I think that it excels a lot at those things. I think, though, there are cases where we're trying to apply it in a more universal way, and I don't think that's going to be as helpful. I don't think it's going to be as useful to automate things that require, when it comes to automating things that require consistent, deterministic, always accurate results. That's where I think people waste a lot of time and money trying to achieve that with LLMs. Yeah, artwork studios. Exactly. That's my point. Like the whole every company is .ai now, right? Every company that's ever existed is now, they now describe themselves as the AI powered whatever, right? If you were a note-taking app, you are now an AI powered note-taking app. If you were a no-code platform, you are now an AI powered no-code platform. That's CWK. Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, good to see you again too. I hope life is treating you well. I went on a little bit of a rant there, didn't I? I don't know how I ever wrote code before I knew how to use Vimotions. I don't know how I did any type of text editing without Vimotions, because now whenever I go to like Google Docs or Microsoft Word or Gmail, I I try to use Vimotions, and those things don't exist there. Hey, what's up, Fly Fisher? Thanks for stopping by. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm planning on having a good day. That's my plan at the moment. Looking at you, Riplet. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I understand. I don't want to. these companies they're trying to make money. They're trying to stay relevant, right? So I understand there's sort of these companies are at some extent at the whims of the marketplace, right? So I don't want to totally shit all over them, but I think there is something to be said about these. There is something to be said about not slapping AI on the thing you've built just so you can say you have AI. But at the same time, I also understand like we live in the real world. The market largely determines people's behavior, and so they're just aligning themselves to the incentives that are being placed on them. The time will let us know what is the next iteration of AI. Yeah, and that I'm excited for, Butterscotch. And that's why I say whenever I talk about AI, I want it to be I want people to understand that my views are reflective of what we have today, right? Because my views could completely change the next iteration of AI, right? And that's something I think about a lot when it comes to all the work that's being done with LLMs right now. Is like nothing is to say that, in 3 months' time, there's a new type of machine learning model that makes transformers or large language models no longer the hot new thing, right? Okay, first break. Let's throw chat up on the screen, huh? There we go. Sometimes I unconsciously type :WQ into VS Code. Well, I do that like 10 times a day in Gmail. It's not an issue in VS Code because in VS Code, I have them set up. So :WQ works in VS Code for me. CWK, hey man, what do you say about the effect of AI on fresher job role? How should they prepare for a good future? Well, I think kind of like what I was saying about companies, we as employees have to navigate the market the way it is. And right now, there is a big push, it seems like, inside companies to figure out a way to deploy AI. So as an employee, you have to be you're going to have to familiarize yourself with AI tools, especially if you're in the development space, right? Um, like so many of the people who are on the business side are on kind of in business roles are being told that AI can help you gain productivity and efficiency. And so if you want to be a developer or a programmer or engineer, something like that, you're likely going to have to give into a little bit of that. You're going to have to figure out how to use Cursor, how to use Copilot, etc. You know, and you're going to have to be able to speak to your familiarity with those things. Hey, thanks for the sub, man. Appreciate it. So yeah, that's just one of those, one of those things you're going to have to do. I don't think that means you need to stop learning the basics, right? Doesn't mean you shouldn't stop improving your own skill set, but as a person trying to get a role, you're going to have to be able to speak to how you feel about AI, how you use AI in your workflow, etc. So get familiar with it. Mohammed, hey, do you know how to add autocomplete and suggestions in PowerShell? I do. So if you actually look, let me see. I think Nightbot can send you my links. If you type !PWSH, I think Nightbot will respond with my PowerShell profile. I think. Yeah, there you go. There's some links there. So there's my PowerShell profile and my Oh My Posh theme. But I think really what you're looking for, Mohammed, if you just Google PS readline, I think is the module that will probably be most helpful to add that stuff. Posh Git is also a good module for PowerShell that does like autocomplete for Git branches. That's pretty handy. Fly Fisher. We can only hope that people in control of the world have a good plan for everyone to have a high standard of living when they figure out how to replace all humans with AI in the workforce. Yeah, hopefully, well, like I said, I've got probably 30 years of work left. So hopefully just none of that comes to pass before before my time. Wow, Steven, I now realize that my messages take approximately 1 minute to reach you. Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay because I think part of that delay may be OBS or YouTube. I'm not really sure. So there is a little bit of a delay between chat and when I see the chat. There's a new term for developers called Gen AI developer who knows how to leverage AI for maximum productivity. Yeah, I think that's not a bad term. I don't know if I want to classify myself as a Gen AI developer, but I would classify myself as somebody who knows how to work with generative AI. You know, I know how to work with it both in terms of my own personal workflow. I also know how to work with it in terms of like implementing features that depend on it in applications, right? So I think you need both of those. You need to be able to speak to both of those things. Like if you haven't worked with OpenAI's API, you should go do that. If you haven't worked with Anthropic's API, you should go do that, right? If you haven't worked with the Gemini API, you should go do that. And then if you haven't used Copilot or something like Copilot, you probably should take some time and go figure out some tools like that for your own workflow. Yeah, Mohammed, I hope that's helpful. You can also join our Discord if you want to join our Discord. You can likely get some more pointed help there. Stux, I posted a simpler. Yeah, I'll check it out, Stux. I will check it out. All right, time for chat to go away and for Pomodoro to come back. Sorry, hold on. I fell behind in the chat, I'm realizing. Let's see. I think I'm kind of like a Gen AI dev. Well, good. Good for you, man. ZSH versus Caddy versus Ghost. I don't use any of them. Well, I guess I do use ZSH. Like in my WSL setup, I have ZSH, but I don't really use Caddy or Ghost. Alberta, we will appreciate to do a NeoVim config for Windows when you have the time. Well, Albert, if you just type here, my NeoVim configs are online. I think it's ! NeoVim, and Nightbot will send you my configs. Yeah, there you go. I'm probably never gonna make a video setting up my NeoVim config from scratch because that took like, I don't know, it took like probably 30 hours all in to do that, and so I don't really know how to present all of that in like a nice succinct video. I would point you though, if you want to go through more of like a step-by-step approach to building a NeoVim config, you should go look at a NeoVim for Noobs by Typecraft. If you just search NeoVim for Noobs on YouTube, it'll take you to the right place. Flyfish, I have a feeling you are going to develop something that lets you escape the workforce way before that 30 years. Oh man, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. I'm not betting on it, you know? I'm contributing to my retirement plan as if I'm not going to do that, but that would be wonderful to have a small little tool or SaaS or some sort of micro SaaS that just earns me a few extra $1,000 a month and accelerates my retirement. That would be wonderful. Oh my posh, custom profile link is not working. Oh, I'm sorry, Mohammed. Let me try just, I might need to fix that Nightbot. Let me try that, just sharing it directly to you. One sec. I think that message is too long, so I think it gets cut off. Here is my PowerShell profile at Mohammed Powers. That's my PowerShell profile. And then you said, well, I guess you said it was the Oh My Posh one that wasn't working. This is my Oh My Posh one. Oh, I guess that I tagged Mohammed Y and I meant Mohammed at Mohammed Abez. Sorry, my mistake. The second one is my Oh My Posh link. When it's big enough, they might kill us all. What do you mean? Are you talking about AI? See you, Stux. Have a good day, man. Hello, Dismal. How are you doing? Having yourself a nice Tuesday? Or I guess it could be Wednesday for you, couldn't it? Thanks for stopping by again. We're just, we're getting a little bit of work in here. Here's something that I'm actually super excited about from a technology perspective is web components. So at that developer conference I went to last week, I went to like 3 different workshops / talks about web components because I think web components are cool. They're a little bit what do I want to say? How do I want to talk about this? They're a little bit painful to write, but they're cool because you can essentially build components that are framework agnostic, but still compatible with all the different frameworks out there, front-end frameworks. So I'm hoping web components become more of a thing. Although they came out with HTML5 and they're still not a thing. So that doesn't bode well for their adoption. Yo, get surgery, brother. For what? What are we gonna get surgery for? Bulked? Oh, I think I'm gonna hide this guy. I don't really like his username. I don't want to say his username. See you, Fly Fisher. Thanks for hanging out, man. Appreciate you. Prediction for the future? Let's see. My prediction for the future is that I want to say something that's not pessimistic. Let's see. I don't know, that's a tough one. What's something that I will predict will happen in the future? I predict in the future that AWS will buy Anthropic. That's my prediction. Snapping the picture of returning viewers so we can make a checklist to see who came on stream. Nice. Well, yeah, a lot of people that were here this morning were people that I've seen multiple times before on stream. So that's cool. It's very cool to have people who return more than once to a stream. Suhas, I want your opinion. What opinion? You want my opinion on what? Excuse me. Yeah, Artwork Studio, shoot. Everyone should throw out a prediction for the future to see how wrong we all are gonna be. Let's see. I think they will be a wealth gap because of AI. When it's big enough, they might kill us all. Well, that's very pessimistic, Suoff. Um, yeah, the wealth gap is a real thing. And the problem with the wealth gap is a wealth gap begets a bigger gap. Without uh, without very strong interference, in my opinion, it seems like a very difficult thing to close, right? Because if there's anything that I think everyone would agree on, it's very hard to get money, but once you get a certain amount of money or a certain amount of resources, it becomes, I don't know if I'd say exponentially, but maybe linearly, it becomes that much easier to get more of it, right? And what I mean by that is when you have $100, it's very difficult to get 1,000. When you get 1,000, it's much more difficult to get 10,000. But once you go from like 10,000 to $100,000, going from $100,000 to $1,000,000 becomes easier, and going from 1,000,000 to 10,000,000 becomes easier. So it's that. So by that nature, the people on the higher end of the income spectrum, it's much easier for them to stay there and to continue to accumulate more than it is for the people who are at the bottom end. And so I'm not really sure though if AI is like if it wasn't AI, it would be something else. Like I'm not sure AI, you can blame AI for an increasing wealth gap. I think you have to blame the fact that there is a gap in the first place for the accelerating wealth gap. And I don't know, I don't believe that AI is going to kill us all. Like I think human beings are expert at surviving. And I just don't think we will allow ourselves to be taken out by our digital creation. But that's a very optimistic take on my part. My prediction is that we will all end up achieving our goals and gather here one last time. Man, that would be wonderful. I would love to achieve everything I have on my list. The only thing I really have on my list at this point is just to achieve financial independence. That's the biggest thing on my list. I want to get to a place. I don't know if I'll ever retire, but I want to get to a place where work becomes optional. Yeah, that's very, very much my North Star at the moment. Hey, what's up, Elias? How are you? Have you seen iRobot? I have seen iRobot. It's a good movie. Elias Fack, money make money. Yeah, it does. It really does. Pomo Focus mentioned, great website. Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that Pomo Focus is exactly the website I use for this. I've been using this for almost 3 years now. It's wonderful. It's a simple little Pomodoro timer. Works great. Thanks for calling that out, Tree Fingers. I appreciate you. AI is just a Wikipedia runs by programming. Well, I think that's how majority of people use it, and it's very useful in that particular case. Like I think it is. That's actually I left that off because I said AI is useful for doing orchestration things. I said AI is useful for doing blank page problems, but I would say there's a third thing. AI is pretty good at being like a knowledge retrieval tool, like almost like it's not exactly a replacement for search, but it's like I don't think I want Google to be 100% replaced by LLMs. I kind of want both. But yeah, I think I would agree with that, Elias. That generative AI is great for that sort of wiki. I'm looking for an answer to a question type of scenario. Butterscotch. I'll just get my EMP grenades. Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing. The craziest thing I've seen on the AI world recently has been the psychosis. Have you seen people have been talking about this chat GPT psychosis that people are experiencing, where they essentially, the AI basically drags them down into some crazy rabbit hole, and because the AI is sort of sycophantic, it sort of reinforces their delusions. That's that's been pretty crazy to read about. Suhas, when you don't have any low-paying jobs, so wealth gap plus plus. So if AI make food, you don't have to pay a farmer. Yeah, I don't think AI is going to make food though. Uh, yeah, I don't. But I get what you're saying, that like AI is going to take low-paying jobs. I think, but that's again, Suhas, like like I said, when I was growing up. I mean, I'm 32 now, so when I was growing up, it was like late 90s, early 2000s, and there was a lot of talk about blue collar work being replaced by automation. There was a lot of that, and that's still not the case today. Um, if anything, a lot of those jobs didn't get replaced by automation; they were replaced by globalization in more cases than automation. And so I don't know how much I believe that AI is going to take that many people's jobs. It's going to take some people's jobs. Um, but I don't know if you can blame AI for an increasing wealth gap. I think the wealth gap itself begets a larger gap. I mean, when you have, I don't know how many billionaires there are in the world, but when the number of billionaires just continues to grow, uh, that's going to be an issue. Um, and a wealth gap, I think, really only gets addressed by a couple things, right? It gets addressed by some sort of political or militaristic revolution. I mean, that's what history shows us. So hopefully we'll be wise, at least in the U.S. Hopefully we'll be at least wise to that, and maybe we can get out in front of that, and it doesn't have to end that way. But once people have acquired resources, they're very reluctant to give them up. You know, and usually that has to be done through some amount of force, whether political or otherwise. Have you seen Have you seen Perplexity's comment browser? It's an agentic browser. I have not. I've not looked at comment or what's the other one? Dia. That's the other browser that I've heard people talk about. I think it's Dia browser, which I think is made by the people who were trying to create. Yeah, this is the browser company. They were trying to build the Arc browser, and then that took them too long. And by the time they had, you know what I mean? Like, not that it took them too long. They had a version of the Arc browser, but then people didn't care about a new browser. They cared about AI. So now the company has pivoted from the Arc browser to working on this other type of browser that's more AI powered, where it's all like chat focused. But then I also saw yesterday they came out with tiered usage. Like you don't have an unlimited. You basically have some limit to the amount of uh, interactions you can have with LLM, which is a real problem. All of these LLM backed services have the same problem where the cost of the service and the cost of the providers they're using to power that service is not reflective of the actual cost. And so at some point there's going to be price increases, and we're going to see if people can actually stay afloat. Once Google and, OpenAI and Anthropic are like, yeah, actually it doesn't cost, 0.00006 per token, it costs 0.06 per token, right? Like, whenever there's a big price increase like that. Mohammed, I joined the Discord server, but I'm in review. Well, Mohammed, let me fix that for you real quick. Sorry about that. I have that application there kind of to help try to keep some of the riffraff out of the Discord server. So thanks for joining, man. Appreciate you. What do you think of UBI, Universal Basic Income? I think to some extent maybe it becomes a necessity, right? If you really do play out the whole like AI takes over everything, and so there's no need for humans to do anything anymore because we just have AI that runs everything. If you go that far, if you play out the science fiction to that extent, maybe UBI does make sense, right? Because currently, I think if you get to a world where AI is running everything, you have to society has to be rethought. The structure of how society is organized, you have to rethink it, right? Because the basic societal constructs today that exist in most places, at least definitely here in the US, is you have freedom, but you have to provide for yourself. And so you have to do some amount of work for others. You have to provide a product or a service for others that they're willing to compensate you for, right? That's kind of like, this is like the societal construct we've come up with. But at some level is if you move into a world where there is no product or service that you can provide to others at a value, and they value it enough for you to make enough income to support yourself, and that's widespread, like you just have to rethink you have to rethink things in a really big way. Hopefully I'm not around for that. Hopefully my kids are not around for that. Can you teach us how APIs work? Because I can't get one working for the love of me. What do you mean how APIs work? Are you talking about like... Yeah. What do you mean? Hello, Mohammed. Good to see you. Okay, Mohammed, we're putting you in a timeout, Mohammed. I'm sure Nightbot would have got him, but I'll get him myself. Let's see, because I can't use post get request correctly because I somehow keep breaking it. Huh. Yeah, I mean, maybe post in Discord. Maybe share some code in Discord. Maybe we can help you. But yeah, API. I mean, if you're talking, I mean, the average API the average person, when they refer to an API, they're referring to some service that's available at some domain that you can make HTTP requests against and either make something happen or get some sort of response. That's what most people are talking about when they're talking about an API. But really API just refers to some interface that you can programmatically interact with, right? So, like Playwright has an API, right? It's like this just But when most people are saying, "Hey, I'm using an API," most people in that colloquial sense are talking about like a HTTP REST based service. So Elon's AI is biased towards him. What if AI is controlled by top 1%? Let's see. Grok checking Elon's opinion before answering is wild. Does he actually do that? Does the Grok actually do that? Let's see if there is a AGI or ASI, but it's subservient to the top. That's a real problem, Suhas. I mean, that's a problem today, right? Like, you look at OpenAI. OpenAI was a reaction to Google Brain. OpenAI was supposed to be, we're concerned about the fact that the largest companies in the world are developing and amassing a potentially world-changing technology, right? The problem is that power and money corrupts. And so now what you have is you basically have like 3, 4, 5 companies that all run the AI service and AI services and control access to them, right? You have Gemini, which is available through Google's API. You have the ChatGPT family of models, which is available through OpenAI. You have the Anthropic family or the Claude family of models, which is available through Anthropic service. Yes, or Meta, I guess, has some LLMs, but and then and people will say, well, Steven, yeah, but you can do local, you can run AI locally. You can, but can you get something that approximates the performance and the speed and the quality that you can get through these APIs that you have to pay access to? Not really. Not unless you invest in dedicated hardware. So there's some amount of that already happening, Suhas, which is a problem, right? This is a problem when you start having all of this technology in the hands of like 3 or 4 companies. This is a problem. Let's see. Pomodoro goes away. Chat comes back. Also, it's time for more coffee. Wasn't there some policy made by the US government for AI? I think so under Biden. There was something like that. But now under Donald Trump, there's a new AI, like kind of AI person in the administration named David Sachs, who's kind of dictating the administration's approach to AI. Like I don't know if you guys have been paying attention recently, like one of the big things that's changed with the US is under Biden, we basically wouldn't let, under President Biden, we wouldn't let NVIDIA sell certain chips to Chinese companies. And now under President Trump, they are. They're actually making NVIDIA. It's NVIDIA and I think AMD. Or they're making them pay like a 15% of every sale. They basically said, we'll give you an export license, but you have to give us 15% of your sales. So there's all kinds of crazy stuff happening with the US government and AI policy. Closed AI, not open AI. Yeah, it's become very much that. I mean, it's funny to me because it was originally, I guess, my perception of the conversation around AI was, how do we use this technology to make humanity better? How do we use this technology to benefit all of humanity? And very quickly the conversation now has switched to like, well, how do we become the AI company? How do we amass all the benefit of AI to our company? And suddenly the societal benefit of this technology has sort of become like a side conversation in a lot of ways. Do you follow any newsletters to stay updated in tech? I don't really. The only way I really stay updated with tech is I follow some creators on YouTube, and then I just read the technology section of the New York Times pretty regularly. and Google News. I usually will go to Google News, click on the technology tab, and just scroll through headlines there. I think the best thing that could happen in AI right now is for small local models to get better. Yes, small local models to get better that don't require very specific dedicated hardware. Like I want to be able to run a local AI model that gives me the same level of usefulness as I derive from using Claude or Gemini without having to invest in a 4090, right? Like that cost, the cost to effectively run a local model needs to go down, and the performance of those local models needs to go up. That's going to be the way we protect and avoid all the benefits of AI being aggregated to a few people, and those people deriving all the benefits of that and all the economic benefits of that. Steven went to get coffee, by the way, for anyone who see him gone. Yeah. Well, I'll probably get coffee after I end the stream because I'm already at an hour. So I've got like 3 or 4 more minutes here, and then I got to run. Hey, there's another Steven in the chat. That's cool. How much coffee does an average programmer drink in a day? I have no idea. I drink probably 4 or 5 espresso shots a day at the moment. Lobbying is legal in India. How does lobbying is legal in the U.S. Actually, because of Citizens United. So in the U.S., there's a case that happened in 2001 that the Supreme Court ruled on called Citizens United. It basically says that corporations for political purposes are like individuals, and therefore corporations can basically spend as much money as they want to advance their political agenda. Which is an issue. It's a big issue with politics in the U.S. Steven, and Steven. Yeah. Isn't it like better the model higher the cost of operating it? At the moment, yeah. I think that at the moment that is a true statement. But just like the speed at which you get inference back from Anthropic, like it's just not comparable, right? If you get Ollama on your machine locally and you run one of the smaller 7 billion parameter models, the inference is still incredibly slow, right? So like I know, like, and that's why I said, like, I've said this on Blue Sky and LinkedIn a couple times, but like local LLM is a really cool party trick, but it's not very useful unless you have very powerful dedicated hardware, right, that you've invested thousands of dollars into, which for the average person just doesn't make sense, right? It makes way more sense to just pay your $10 a month to Copilot or Gemini than to invest thousands of dollars into local hardware and then figuring out how to network that local hardware so that you can access it as easily and as conveniently as Gemini or Copilot. The problem is if we don't solve for that, like as a people, if we don't solve for the ability to run really good local AI, it will, all the economic benefits of LLMs will accrue to these 4 or 5 large companies. And actually, it's probably not 4 or 5 companies. It's probably 3 companies because Google owns Gemini. I think Microsoft will eventually own OpenAI. And I think AWS will eventually own Anthropic. The amount of money that companies like Anthropic and OpenAI have raised, there's just really no other companies on the face of the planet that can afford to purchase those companies or take those companies on as investments. There's just no companies are have enough cash. Hey, Steven, more general question, but how do you know Mixu? I don't even know what Mixu is. I don't know if I'm saying that word correctly. Mohammed, do you follow any newsletters to stay updated in tech? Not really, Mohammed. I think I answered that earlier. I don't. I pretty much watch YouTube videos. I have some like 4 or 5 YouTube creators that I follow their content pretty closely, and then I just read the technology section of Google News or the New York Times. Suhas, illegal in India. Yeah, so lobbying is legal here in the States. And I'm not sure lobbying should be illegal, but we definitely need to do something about corporations being able to spend, infinite ad nauseum amounts of money, right? Like, I think a much better approach would be to have elections be state funded or federally funded so that every candidate gets X amount of dollars, right? So everybody has an even play. It's kind of like salary caps almost in professional sports. It's like every team works with this amount of money, right? That would be probably the better way to say, is like, hey, as a campaign, you can take no outside donations. You get this amount of money that's taxpayer provided, right? Because it comes through the state government or comes through the federal government. Do with it what you will, right? Obviously, you have the normal campaign finance laws, right? You have to spend it. You can only spend it in certain ways. And then that's it. And just level the playing field. Get private interests out as much as possible. Yahoo still not Yahooing. What do you think about analog AI? I don't know about analog AI. I don't know what that is. Artwork Shooters, what's lobbying? Lobbying is basically where, at least in the United States, lobbying is basically where, let's say, well, like NVIDIA, for example, right? This is we just talked about this. So NVIDIA was told by the U.S. government under Biden that they were not allowed to sell particular chips to China. That cut into NVIDIA's business quite a bit. So what NVIDIA can do is NVIDIA can hire lawyers, typically firms, that essentially specialize in making a case on behalf of a company for why the government or politicians should do something in XYZ way. And so, yeah, like NVIDIA hires lobbyists, lawyers primarily. These people are lawyers who have the right connections and the right relationships in the U.S. government to sit down with people that make important decisions and influence them. That's essentially what lobbying is. And there's a whole industry around it in the U.S. Lots of money in it. What's the difference between lobbying and bribery? There's no explicit quid pro quo. There's no explicit you do this, we'll give you that, right? It's much more like, I'm gonna donate to your campaign, and if you happen to do something in our favor, great. But there's no explicit exchange. Whereas bribery is much more like, we will pay you $100,000 if you vote for this particular thing. And you can, now somebody might say, well, that seems really gray, and it is really gray. That's the problem. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for my morning stream. I'll be back this afternoon over lunch, though, to work on stuff. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Yeah, I'm gonna try to keep doing this type of stream in the mornings. Yeah, over lunch we'll get into some code. All right, Suhas. See you, Suhas. See you, Artwork Studios. Bye, Butterscotch, Mohammed, whoever's still here. See you guys. Hope you guys have a great Tuesday. If it's already Wednesday for you, have a great Wednesday. And if you see me live again later today, please stop on by. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.